Okay, so this is a continuation of our earlier session. Now we are doing graphing the parabola, and you will see some kind of similarities between the equation of a circle and the parabola. Let's look at a parabola. Let's do some concepts behind it. So if you have, let's say, this is a parabola. Opening upwards. And the equation of a parabola is most often given, it starts by what? By ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. We need to look at the first term in order to understand the shape of the parabola, because that's the highest degree. The highest degree tells us the nature of the graph. So if it is x squared, you know it is a parabola. Because it is a parabola opening upwards, we have a has to be greater than 0. Now I have another parabola, and this one is opening downwards. Okay, this is a parabola opening downwards. Because it is opening downwards, we have the leading term, a is going to be less than 0. It's going to be a negative number. Okay, so opening up, a greater than 0, opening down, a less than 0. Now let's look at this one. Suppose I have a parabola coming closer, the y version comes closer and closer to the y-axis, meaning that the parabola contracts. This happens when a is greater than 1. It could be 2, it could be 3. The larger the value of a, the narrower the parabola gets. And then what about when the parabola widens up? It tells us the value of a is some number between 0 and 1. It's a fraction. It's a decimal point. So you need to know that. So now you have, this one is the inflection point. Okay? And because it is coming down, it is going up, we call this the vertex. And the vertex consists of two values. One is the value of x, and the other one is the value of y. So the x coordinate of the vertex and the y coordinate of the vertex, we're going to use h and k the same way that we did for the circle. Okay, where else can we, so the vertex is h and k. Now we know, the preliminary values of the parabola. And so, how do we graph this? How to graph? First, let me show you an equation to graph f of x is equal to negative r. In fact, let me use the formula. Times x minus h squared plus k. Okay. So we're going to use this. This is the same as, this is writing it in a standard form, and this is a general equation form. Now, let me just give you an example of this. Mind you, A is the leading term, so it depends it tells us whether the parabola is opening up or opening down, also whether it is shrinking or expanding. So let's say f of x is equal to negative 2x minus 3 squared plus 8. Okay. Now, if you look at this, what does this tell me? It tells me a lot of stories about the parabola that we are drawing. This is a parabola going down. It's a parabola opening down. Opening down. Opening down. Shrinking by a factor of 2. And these are the vertices. Okay. Now look at x minus 3. So what makes x minus 3 0 if x is 3? So this particular part of the equation tells me the parabola that I'm drawing moves 3 units to the right. Moves 3 units to the right. And then the plus 8 tells me the parabola moves 8 units upwards. So let me define this. Let me write this. This is a graph of x squared, because that is what we call the mother graph. This is a graph of x squared opening downwards because it is negative, shrinking by 2 units, moving 3 units to the right, and 8 units upwards. Okay. So by just looking at the equation, we know what the graph looks like. Then you can go ahead and draw the graph if you want to. And of course, you have to in the assignment. Okay. So now we're going to do further exploration of this. I'm going to rewrite the definition. So you're going to follow the rubric to graph. F of x is equal to ax minus h squared plus k. Y. Determine if the parabola opens upward or downward. Two, determine if the parabola shrinks or expands. Based on your values of A. 3. Let's see. Determine the vertex of the parabola. The vertex is always given by h and k. Determining it, it tells us whether the parabola has a maximum or a minimum, because it bends, unlike a linear graph. Okay. Find any x-intercepts. Meaning what? You would say, what is f of 0? What happens when x is, meaning what? The entire, if y is 0, what happens to x? So that is your x-intercepts. Right? And let's see, and then find y-intercepts. And then that's it. Once you have these 5 conditions, then you are ready to draw the graph. So let me do the first one, the stuff that we did earlier. F of x is equal to, say, -2 x minus 3 squared plus 8. Already we have said the parabola opens downwards. And contracts by a factor of 2, right? Now, the thing that we did not do is find the x-intercept. So, all you need to do is what? -2 x minus 3 squared plus 8 is equal to 0. So let's go ahead and do that. -2 x minus 3 squared is equal to -8. Divide both sides by -2. So you would end up with x minus 3 squared is 4. So you divide both sides, right? Now, you can do it either ways. You can expand this by using FOIL, but you can do also x minus 3 squared is equal to plus or minus the square root of 4. This might be the shortcut, but it doesn't matter. So, which gives you plus or minus 2. Okay. So, right? So, this x minus will give you plus or minus 2. Then x is equal to 3 plus or minus 2, which is 5 and 1. So these are your x-intercepts. 3 plus 2 is 5, 3 minus 2. So your x-intercepts are 5 and 0, 1 and 0. Right? So 5 and 0 and 1 and 0. The one that we did not do is the y-intercept, the vertex. The vertex is 3 and 8. And this is because it is going down, it is the maximum. It has a maximum. The parabola has a maximum. And then the y-intercept. The y-intercept for the y-intercept, just plug in wherever there is x0, right? So -2, 0 minus 3 squared, plus 8. And let's solve this. That will give us the y-intercept. So this is -2. 0 minus 3 is -3. Minus 3 squared is 9, plus 8. And this will give us -18 plus 8 is what? -10. So you have 0 and -10. Your vertex is 3, 8, 5, 0, and 1, 0, 0, and -10. Then you are ready to draw the graph. You know it is a parabola. Opening down. The vertex, so you have what? 5, 0, and 1 and 0. So you have somewhere 1 and 0. In fact, before I do that, let me put the vertices, divides the parabola into two ways. So you have this 3 and 8. Your 5 and 0 is somewhere. Your 1 and 0 is somewhere. You know, okay, so you cross the graph at 0 and -10. This is your 3, 8. Sorry for the graph, it is a parabola opening downwards. This is your 5 and 0. This is your 1 and 0. You know the parabola, the vertex cuts the parabola into two halfways. So that is the graph of f of x is equal to -2 x minus 3 squared plus 8. So you're going to have the five different procedures that you have to follow in order to do the graph. Okay. So if we can do let's do graphing another one. F of x is equal to x minus 2 squared plus 1. It's probably okay. Let me just, you can do the graphing. Okay? Let's just go ahead and try to find by looking at this. This is an equation of a parabola. Now, since a is greater than 0 because a is 1, right? A is greater than 0. The parabola opens up. You don't have to do the shrinking, the expansion, because the value of a is 1. 1 is 1. Right? So it's a graph of x squared. But now the vertex is 2 and 1. And this is the 2 points where the graph divides into 2 equal halves. And because it is opening upwards, this vertex is the minimum, not the maximum. Now, x-intercept so suppose if there are no x-intercepts, it doesn't have x-intercept. So let's look at x minus 2 squared plus 1 is equal to 0. Then you do x minus 2 squared is equal to negative 1. Then x minus 2 is plus or minus the square root of negative 1. Which means what? X minus 2 is equal to plus or minus I. You know I is not a real number. You cannot find it in the graph. So this graph has no x-intercept. Okay. The y-intercept you plug in 0 minus 2 squared plus 1 minus 2 minus 2 squared is 4, 4 plus 1 is 5, so you have a y-intercept 0 and 5. It's a graph opening upwards, so probably what you can, if you do this graph, you know it doesn't cross the x-axis because you ended up with the vertex is 2 and 1, 2 and 1 is somewhere here, 0 and 5 is somewhere here, so you have drawn the graph of x minus 2 squared plus 1. Okay, so that takes care of this session.